Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we are back at CES 2025. This is dispatch number 4, likely the last one in this series for this year. And we are doing a show floor day today where we're going to go out on the show floor and see some stuff that we can find. And when I get back, I'll do a little dispatch video to talk about my process of trying to find all this stuff. It's not easy, especially when the show starts, and it is super crowded now. One thing that I'm noticing here is that in the past, Google used to occupy all of this space out here. Now it looks like they've got a bunch of food trucks and stuff, so there is very little presence from Google at the show, where they used to be everywhere with their Google Home stuff. They hired lots of people to wear these little Google outfits at all of their partner companies, and this is the first year in a long time that I haven't seen them here. But the show is very well attended, and it's very, very busy, probably the busiest I've seen in quite some time. So let's get on the show floor now. And before we do, I do want to thank all of you for your continued support of the channel. That includes watching this video, but also those of you who contributed to the channel, because this video and all the other ones I've done from CES this year are sponsored by all of you. So I want to thank you all for your continued support of the channel. It means a lot, and I had a lot of fun out here, and it sounds like a lot of you enjoyed the content that you've been watching from the show. So without further ado, let's get on the show floor. So this is a really neat device from a viewer of the channel. This is called the Jamcorder. It just came out. It's $100. And what this does, if my friend can flip it upward, is it is a MIDI interface. Yes, MIDI, the 45-year-old standard that I used back in the day on my PCs and my 16-bit computers. It's still out there. And what this is a MIDI recorder. It doesn't record audio, it records data. Now, if you have an old keyboard from the 80s that uses MIDI, you can plug it right in and it's going to work. And you also can plug in via USB, because some of these modern pianos, like the one my daughter has at home, has a USB MIDI interface, and this will recognize it. And what's cool is that it records everything onto an SD card. And he's telling me that we can get like over 25,000 hours of recordings on the card, because you're just recording the data from the keyboard that you're attaching it to. And what's really cool, beyond all the other cool stuff, is that it outputs everything as a MIDI file, but you can also integrate it into GarageBand and other applications. Now, of course, there's an app. Now, the app interfaces with the box here, not with the keyboard itself. So you can leave this permanently plugged into your keyboard, and it records every key press. It's like a key tracker for pianos. As you can see here, he's playing along. And now we can scroll up, back through what we played. It's almost like one of those player pianos. And he can go ahead here and play back one portion of the thing he was recording earlier. Isn't this cool? So you could have somebody come over and play your piano, and then you can just set the thing to play for you. Doesn't move the keys, of course, but it does play through the piano itself. You can also output audio files, so they have like a wavetable thing that will convert the MIDI to an audio file too. So this is really neat, and I think if you've got a piano player in your life and they have one of these modern pianos or even an 80s keyboard, this is definitely something to take a look at. I think it's very reasonably priced and innovative. So I stopped by the GPD booth. I always like to check out and see if they are at CES, and they are here this year. They've got some new stuff here. Check out this dual screen laptop. This one's a little on the pricier side. I don't have the exact prices, so I'll try to get them before I upload the video here. But if you wanted a laptop with dual displays here, you got it. The first display folds down over the second one, and you can take this laptop with you. It's not much thicker than your run-of-the-mill laptop, but you get 2 displays. This thing I am really excited about. This is an external GPU dock, but check it out. It supports both Oculink or a USB 4 connection to the computer. So you can take your pick here. Oculink is a little bit quicker if your computer has that, but if you've got a Thunderbolt or USB 4 PC, it connects with that. And unlike that Oculink monstrosity we built a few weeks ago on the channel, this is all integrated, including the power supply. This has a RX 7800M XT graphics card on board. So it's not going to be a big, robust GPU, but it does have some of those capabilities. Now, on the back, also, it's got some additional ports here. So you can get some port replication, provided you're connecting over the USB or Thunderbolt connection. Then, of course, they've got their little gaming handheld here. This is the GPD Win 4. This is the newest one. Has a Ryzen AI chip, an HX370, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, and you get a keyboard built in too. And they were making these gaming handhelds long before any of the other players in the market did. They really kind of invented this space in the industry, I think. And then we've got this one. This is their little mini PC. And I guess what they're putting onto this one is a 120 hertz display. And these are really useful in IT also because you can take these things around your facility. They're full-blown PCs, very compact and pretty sturdy too. So lots of cool stuff here from GPD, and I do need to catch up with them and see if we can get some of their devices in for review, especially that dock. So I'm at the TP-Link booth here, and they've got a new mesh router called the Deco BE95. And this is a very robust mesh routing system. And my friend here is going to pick this thing up and flip it around. You can buy them in like packs of 3, and you get 3 of these things in the box. So this is designed for high-speed connections like the one I've got at home. It'll support 10 gigabits, and they even have an SFP port on this. Now, these support Wi-Fi 7, so it can actually aggregate, if you have a Wi-Fi 7 client, aggregate traffic across all the Wi-Fi bands to give you even more speed. And you can also, if you want, backhaul everything over 10 gigs. So you can run your fiber all over the house and have very fast interconnections between these, but you could also do it wirelessly. So the routers are starting to catch up now with my home connection. I may have a few more options in the future. Now, their mesh offering now includes an outdoor mesh antenna, also Wi-Fi 7. So if you have cameras and stuff that are not getting a very good signal, you can stick one of these outside. They support PoE and, of course, are weatherproof. And I was also drawn to this router primarily because it looks cool. This is a BE900, and this looks like their beefiest one. I think this costs like around $500 or so. It's got a robust case here, as you can see. Plenty of connectivity in the back, including 2 10-gig connections, and they have that reserved on the WAN side as well. So lots of high-speed options here coming out from TP-Link, and I'm sure a lot of other manufacturers too. Now, we see all sorts of different types of technology here at CES. This is the Micro House. This one is like 180 square feet, and it's a tiny house that you can purchase and plop down somewhere. And as you can see here, it's got a Murphy bed, so you can get a full queen-size bed, and then when you're done with the bed, you fold it up and you got yourself some breakfast here. You have a sink and a microwave. You know, it's an efficiency thing. They got a split system heat pump there for you, along with a very nice little area to put your glasses down and stuff, and we can look further into it here. It feels very nice and sturdy in here. You got automatic blinds, all of the things you would come to expect in a modern home. And, of course, you got your shower and bathroom area here. So you can take a shower. The drain goes down there. You've got your shower head up there. And it's tiny but livable. And what they're telling me is that the market for these are Airbnbs. So people are buying up a whole property of they plop these things down on. But also people are looking at developments, you know, kind of a modern-day trailer perhaps that you might look at. And I guess all the awnings here are automated as well. So cool stuff. Now, this unit is the smallest one they offer. They have a few different sizes available, too. This one starts at $89,000. There is some installation cost, of course. You got to hook it up to electric and plumbing and everything. But pretty cool, I think, if you're looking to live off the grid or want something a little bit smaller to call home. Now, we've been covering a lot of Starlink on the channel over the last couple of years, but Amazon is actually working on their own version called Project Kuiper. And they have some mock-ups here of some of the user terminals that they are looking at. That large one there probably for a more commercial installation, and they have some smaller ones here too, including this one that looks very similar to the Starlink Mini. Now, they still have to get these satellites up. They are slowly getting them into orbit, but now that Jeff Bezos' rocket is almost ready for launch from Blue Origin, they might be able to accelerate their satellite delivery, and we may see these pretty soon. All right, so this is nothing necessarily new at the show, but it just came out recently. This is the new Kindle Color. It costs $279. Like other Kindles, it uses one of those e-ink displays, so it looks nice and sharp here. It actually looks very good for a color e-ink display, much better than some of the other devices we've looked at recently. Now, the traffic cone on this guy's head can mean only one thing. VLC is here at the show. I was very surprised to see them here because they are not a commercial project, but an open source one. And what they're demoing at the show is a new open source on-device subtitling system that will basically in real time translate audio without having to go out to the internet first. So this is going to be coming out on VLC soon, completely free of charge, no cloud at all. It's going to make use of your computer's hardware to do it. So this is really awesome to see this kind of open source useful utility making its way to devices that's not only free, but also free of the cloud. Now, they also are demoing something really fun. This is a Game Boy game that you'll soon be able to download with a VLC theme, and it was coded by this gentleman over here who's at the booth today. And what you can do here is play a VLC-themed Game Boy game. This is going to be a ROM you can download, and it will work on original hardware or emulators. Really neat stuff. What they're doing here is having people play the game to win a prize. So I stopped over at the Asus exhibit. Now, I don't have pricing on these new NUCs yet, but these are their AI versions. This is the NUC 14 Pro AI Plus, and you'll notice it's got a Copilot Plus button on the front there, and it also has a fingerprint reader for unlocking it, and that is, I think, a Microsoft requirement. Now, as you can see on the top here, they have an e-ink display. Right now, it doesn't do any kind of data that you can have the system feed to it. It does just generated images, so it's more aesthetic. But this is something that I think, if they develop it further, could be useful for displaying information in a secondary display that doesn't have to refresh all that often. Now, you can get these with Intel processors, like this one and that one. And this one is pretty much the same as the other, just without the fancy display on the top. And they have a lower cost one here with a Ryzen processor, also with the AI capabilities to make them Copilot Plus compatible. And again, we don't know pricing or availability on these just yet, but if you wanted an AI mini PC, you can get one with one of these NUCs. Now, here's another powerful router to take a look at. This is the Asus Rapture GTBE 1900 AI. It has some machine learning algorithms for doing deep packet inspection that it will do on device to maximize your gaming performance and other data transfers. And as you can see here from the spec sheet, it's got a ton of all of your modern wireless features. One thing that I liked about it is that it does support both 10 gig LAN and WAN. So if you have a super fast internet connection, you can plug 10 gig or 2.5 on that port on the right, and then you've got a 10 gig port here on the back for the LAN, so you can get the most out of your internet service provider. Now, this also has an ad blocker and a tracker blocker built in, and it's able to figure that out from inspecting the packets that are coming over. And that's useful, of course, because if you have this enabled, your TV boxes and all the stuff that don't really let you install ad blockers will now have an ad blocker, and it also can help protect privacy with a tracker blocker. Sometimes these things can get a little problematic. You might have to jump in and adjust some things or whitelist some sites, but it's nice to see this now built into the router itself. Now, we've been talking a lot about eGPUs lately, and this one looks really cool from Asus. This is the ROG XG Mobile. You get a mobile 5080 GPU in here, and it connects up to your PC using Thunderbolt 5, so you can take advantage of the higher bandwidth if your laptop supports that. It also gives you some port expansion here, as you can see, with Ethernet, some display outputs, USB here, and it looks like some pass-through Thunderbolt as well. And I think they've got a card reader up here too. So this is a really cool-looking eGPU. Power supply is built right in. You can just throw it in your bag and bring the power with you to plug into your lower-powered Ultrabook. So this is the new ROG Flow Z13. Here are the specs of it. This uses onboard AMD graphics, but it dedicates the RAM for the graphics. So although it's shared, it's kind of locked in, so you get better performance when you are using this. And they said that the performance on this one is very close to like a 4060 equipped laptop. So it's pretty nice to get that in a tablet. As you can see, it's got some cool lighting in the back here, so you have some transparency onto the motherboard. And then, of course, you can detach the keyboard and use it very similar to the Microsoft Surface, but this is a little more thick and designed for gaming with better cooling. So if you were looking for a Surface-like device that could game a little better, this one might be worth taking a look at. And, of course, you got a good array of ports on here as well. And we'll hopefully have a price on this soon, but this is the new iteration of a device that they were offering previously, but with much better performance. This company is called Powercast. We've seen them in the past, and they've got a cool demo here where they've got their transmitter that will send power wirelessly to something like this. So we've got this little LED light here on the stick. You can see it gets brighter and then a little less bright as it gets further away. And you're able to put devices in the proximity of one of these charging units. I think I actually have one that I haven't looked at yet, and charge things like a Nintendo Switch controller. So pretty neat idea. Not a lot of power, only about a watt, but they are coming up with a bunch of new concepts here. And one of them, I don't know if that Samsung remote is nearby. There it is. They got their chips into these Samsung remotes that are apparently on new televisions. And these will use the same technology to charge via Wi-Fi. So you don't even need one of those charging units. It just is attenuated for the Wi-Fi signal. And then this is a high-powered wireless charger. So it's Qi compatible, so you can put your phone on this. but you could also charge your power tools on it. They're telling me it can do 1.2 kilowatts, 1,200 watts, which is a lot more than the Qi standard currently supports. And they've got some new ideas here too. This one's kind of neat. This table is totally wireless, and if my friend moves that light around, you can see that it is working until he lifts it up, and then it stops working. So think of this as like one big Qi charger, and you could have these surfaces that are able to charge and power devices no matter where you put them on the table. Here's another example of something rotating on there. So you can even do the light and the rotation together. So really cool stuff here from Powercast. You can get these charging units now, and they have a few things that you can charge with them. Not very fast, but they've got some other ideas here that they're working on. So I was walking through the South Hall here at CES, and it looks like the Shack is back. Radio Shack, that is. This is where I used to shop for all my stuff, all my gadgets and cables and whatnot. And what they're doing is relaunching the brand, and they're relaunching it here in North America with a bunch of products here. And it looks like these are things that you can find from other brands, right? It's not all that difficult to badge things, but they're also doing some of the connectors and the cabling using that familiar Radio Shack logo. And you can also see some of the other stuff they've got here as well. Now, they're not opening stores yet, so these are products that are going to be branded Radio Shack that you will find at other retailers. The coffee is not one of them. And eventually they hope to maybe bring some stores back or license the name to stores so they can do that. And I think there might be a few licensed stores from the prior owner of Radio Shack. Now, the story of this is rather interesting. So the new owner of the Radio Shack name is a Latin American company that had Radio Shack stores in South America and the rights to run them. And they were given the opportunity to purchase the entire brand outright and relaunch globally. So that is what we're looking at here. So you'll probably start seeing some Radio Shack products at your favorite retailer, and maybe a local store might pop up too. So I stopped by the OhSnap booth, and this is the MCon controller. This is designed for any phone that can take a magnetic grip like an iPhone or an Android with the little ring attached. And my friend's here going to attach his iPhone to it, and check out how it folds out. Isn't that cool? But it goes further. It's got little handles here to help balance out the weight, and you've got yourself a full-fledged controller. Now, this will connect up via Bluetooth, but you can also connect directly so you reduce the latency. And these are the same folks that made that awesome OhSnap grip that I reviewed a little while ago. And you've probably seen some of the ads on social media. So now they're doing something a little more engaging here with this new controller. This is on Kickstarter right now. I don't have the price at the moment, but you can definitely find it there, and then it'll be shipping, if the Kickstarter is successful, shortly after that. Now, they also have some shipping products here. This is a new wallet that they came up with. It's all metal. It's really nice. It's aluminum, and it's hinged, so you can get your cards out easy. It holds 8 of them, and it is MagSafe compatible. So when you're ready to blow all your money at the casino here, your money will fly right out, but it keeps it in there pretty tightly when you don't want your money flying out. Attaches via MagSafe, and it also has like a little OhSnap grip on the back of it too, so you can extend out your functionality that you've come to like with your Snap add-on there. So pretty neat idea. And what's also cool is that these are all stackable, so they have their original product there on the back of the phone. You can attach the wallet there, but you don't lose the functionality that the grip provided. So that is a cool idea. Now, they also have a new case available, and as you can see, it's got some nice lines on it, some very heavy-duty protection for your cameras to keep them off the surface of whatever you're putting them on, and of course, they're MagSafe on the back as well. So check out all this stuff. It's over at OhSnap. I put their grip originally last year through the ringer, and it's a pretty strong product. I'm surprised how well it's held up, so cool stuff. So we're checking out this new HP Sprocket film scanner. They call this the HP Film Scan. Now, this has the HP badge on it. It's being sold under the Sprocket name, but Sprocket is now a licensed product, so it's HP's name on a product that a different company makes. But one of the things I've struggled with over the years is scanning my negatives quickly. Sometimes I don't need a super high-quality image, but some of these quick negative scanners haven't looked all that great. This one looks a little better to me. We'll have to get it into review to put it through its paces. And what you do is you just put your negatives in, and if my friend can come over here and just move the negative a little bit, you can see how this works. So you just kind of move it through there, and you get it lined up to where you want your picture to be captured, and then you push the button, and it will capture a JPEG image, which you can then edit on the device or just pop out with your SD card. You do have some exposure controls here to fine-tune things a little bit. The display quality looks pretty good, and I think it's not bad for converting some snapshots, the photos that aren't works of art. You have 2 resolution settings, 22 or 14. It only outputs JPEG, so I would have loved to have seen like a TIFF option, but you know what? It might be just fine enough. So this one right now is doing 35 millimeter film. It also does slides. You have to put it into a different mode, of course. And similar kind of thing here. You just put your slides in there and hit the button and capture them, and you're good to go. So she's going to put another one in there real quick. And normally when I was watching these at home, you'd have that kerchunk of the slide projector. And all of our photos happen to be upside down, but of course you can put them in right side up and everything will be the same. And there you go, and you can keep running through them. So very quick and easy. They even have an adapter for 110 film, which is what I was shooting pictures on like 40 years ago, and I know I've got negatives around the house. So we'll have to get this in 189, and it'll be out soon from HP Sprocket. Now, I stopped over at the Minisforum booth because a lot of you were looking for me to find this. This is their new N5 Pro NAS. And this is another one that's spiking my interest here. So this has an AMD Ryzen AI 9HX processor. I would love to hear from you in the comments if this is going to work with Plex transcoding, because I don't know, and they weren't sure here either. So I know we had some AMD processors that did work, some didn't, so it'd be great if you could let me know in the comments. But if it does work, I think this is going to be a real killer device. There's no price on it yet. I'm thinking maybe just under $1,000 without storage. And you can see some of the specs here. It has Oculink on board. You've got, of course, all the drives that you can load up onto it. 10 gig Ethernet also. You can expand the memory to 96 gigabytes. So a pretty beefy machine. It's actually very similar to some mini PCs they're going to be releasing with similar hardware. And you also get a PCI Express slot in here. The problem, though, is that the backplane for that slot is going to be here, and there's no place to output the video to. So I'm guessing this is more for fast storage than it is for something like a video card. And this lower portion here is what is on the front right here. So you can see what that looks like. So this is pretty cool. And I'm looking forward to playing around with this when it comes out, because I'm still looking to build that media server. Now, they're looking at a spring release date here, so just be aware of that. It's not imminent, but it's coming out soon. All right, I stopped over at the Geekom table, and they've got this new mini PC powered by a Snapdragon ARM processor running Windows. We're seeing a lot more of these ARM-based desktops, so low power consumption. The price is going to range from about $700 up, depending on RAM configuration. As you can see here, the RAM is not upgradable, but it does have 2.5 gig Ethernet and all the other things that we've kind of gotten used to on some of these modern mini PCs. So if you're looking for something a little low powered and you don't mind the ARM processor for compatibility, something worth taking a look at, and maybe we'll get one in when it comes out. Availability on this will be probably around March or April. So I found the Gateron booth, and I've been using some Gateron switches on a few of the keyboards that I get in from time to time, but I never actually saw the company. And I would love to get from you all what kinds of keyboards with what types of key switches I could get, because I had no idea there was this many variations. I knew the colors, you know, the reds and the browns or whatever, but look at this. They've got like operating forces in 5 GF increments here. So there's like a switch for every use case. And I was listening to some people talking to the officials here at the booth, and everybody's got their preference and looking for more and more newer stuff, magnetics, all sorts of different types of key switches here. And each of these has a different type of actuating force and travel time. So if you can't find a keyboard that works for you by now in 2025, I don't know what to tell you. So let me know what you think I should get in switch-wise in the future. And speaking of keyboards, I found this company called NuPhy here. And this is a magnetic switched keyboard. And it is very low profile, as you can see here. I did tap around on it a little bit, and it's got a very nice travel to it. And we saw some stuff from EpoMaker the other night where we were talking about this magnetic switch technology. So you have a very short actuation if you want it, but they have a web-based configuration tool that allows you to adjust that actuation to be deeper or shallower. So pretty neat. I just like the way this one looks. Costs about $110. It's available on Amazon and Micro Center right now. Now, the reason why I like to go to these press events before the show is because of the lines that you get for some of the big-name brands' booths here. So this is Panasonic with a bunch of people waiting to go in just to see the stuff. So it's really hard without an appointment to get in. And if you have an appointment, that screws up your whole day because you can't go around looking for stuff. So that's why I like to just kind of set a course for a few people or companies that I know and chart my course that way. And this is the inside of the LG booth. It is an absolute madhouse. You can't get close to anything in here. So this is why if you're covering CES, finding events where these companies will be at is significantly more efficient. And as a sole operator here, I don't have the clout to get myself a one-on-one with these folks, so we'll have some other people cover this stuff. We'll keep looking for the little things that other people aren't giving coverage to. No comment. Now, one of my go-to stops here at CES is My Arcade, because they've always got some cool stuff, and I don't have pricing on a lot of this stuff yet. It is coming soon, and this one up here, I think we saw an earlier version of this last year that was in prototype. This is moving closer to release. This is an Atari handheld that can be plugged into the television also. And as you can see, it's got the spinner attachment there. You've got the roller there as well, and the D-pad, a number pad there on the side. And it has a number of Atari systems and over 200 plus games that they have licensed. And it won a Best of Show award here. They also have a pinball game here, Balls of Steel, which I think was an old PC title that was ported over. And so they made themselves a little pinball cabinet here. This might be a fun stocking stuffer. Now, this controller here is designed to be used with the handheld when it's plugged into the television. And I'm hoping when it comes out that we find it works with more than just the handheld, because it's got some great controls on here. You got the trackball, the spinner, the joystick, and it might be hard to see, but there's also a number pad there. And I would love to hook this thing up to my Mister and have it work with the Coleco and some of those 80s games, because this would be a great controller for that. So we'll have to see. No one here knew if it did or not, so we'll see if it's a standard controller or something else. And they have a little gamepad controller here for the game station. It doesn't have a screen in the middle there. It's just a little shiny, so that's pretty cool. And then over here, they have some Pac-Man anniversary stuff here. And it's all gold. So you had your gold Zelda cartridge. Now you've got the Pac-Man. They have a couple of slot machine games and stuff. They're in retailers all over the world. So these are the things that you often see on the shelf at a popular retailer. And they've got a pole position game down here. And here's another thing that's coming out soon. This is going to settle the Genesis versus Super Nintendo thing once and for all. This is a handheld that plays cartridges from both systems. No price on this yet or a release date, but it is moving closer to its final version. Now, this from My Arcade is similar to what we just saw with the Atari, but it plays arcade games from Bandai and Capcom. They call this the Retro 60, and I think it has 60 different arcade titles, including Street Fighter 2. How about that? And they have another version that'll cost a little less that can plug into your television, and then they have a controller to go with that as well. None of these things are released yet. Again, later this year, so we'll get some pricing when it's available. And they also do these mini arcades. So this is the same thing in a MIDI arcade format. And they also have a version of the Atari in a similar layout here. This one looks pretty cool. All right, that'll do it for our fourth dispatch here from CES 2024. As you can see, it is a madhouse here. I haven't seen it this busy since 2020, which was, of course, the show right before the COVID thing broke out. So it looks as though CES is kind of back in business. There's a lot to see here, as you saw, and of course a lot of stuff that we didn't get to, but that's the beauty of the show. There is so much here that if you are looking to cover the show, if you can find some of the neat hidden gems, you have a shot at getting some views. And I want to thank everyone who's been watching these videos over the last couple of days. You've probably seen my condition here deteriorating as the days have gone on here, but it's always fun to come to the show, and I'm glad that this new process here worked out using the camera on my arm here with our usual microphone, and everything seems to be pretty good. I'm going to do a wrap-up show when I get back, kind of talking about some of the things that if you're looking to come to the show, you should be thinking about either from a coverage standpoint or as an attendee. But I want to thank everyone for your continued support of the channel. Thank you all for the support you gave to help make this week's trip possible, because you are all the sponsors. And until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.